Hi, I'm Dr. Ava Cadell, your personal certified love and sex counselor, and I'm here to help you get rid of any guilt or any shame and enjoy your sex drive. Do you want to become a better lover? Do you want to add more sizzle and spice to your sex life? Of course you do. And with today's hot topic, you can feel self-empowered, experience more love with better intimacy and great sex. I'm talking about sex fantasies and role-playing because it's fun for couples and it can rekindle your passion, it can raise your libido, it can boost your intimacy, heighten your arousal, and even open you up to brand new activities you never thought of. But most importantly, it can turn predictable, boring sex into what I call adult play. Yes, that's my definition of sex. We should be having more fun and not taking it quite so seriously. So if you would like to talk about your sex fantasies, give me a call at 1-877-711-5611 or email me at questions@wetalksex.com. What are your fantasies? Hey, do they include group sex, cross-dressing, sex with a prostitute or gigolo? How about having sex with a celebrity or having sex in a public place? What about sharing your fantasies with your lover? Have you done that? Or are you afraid they're going to freak out? Well, today we are going to explore men's fantasies versus women's fantasies and how to turn them into reality. Yes, we can talk about taboo fantasies, which are usually illegal or immoral, such as incest, bestiality, pedophilia, or rape. But you know what? A fantasy can be a very private way of enjoying taboo thoughts without actually acting them out and making them a reality. Look, most people fantasize when they masturbate, and many fantasize during sex. I hope you do. But you know, this can create problems for some people because they feel like they are somehow betraying their partner, and then they feel guilty about fantasizing about someone else. So, I am here to tell you that fantasies are normal, natural, safe, hot, and they can be an amazing part of your sex life. So cut out the guilt, because you have my permission to fantasize. And by the way, you don't have to share all of your fantasies with your lover, especially if you know it's going to mess with their head. But fantasy is important. It's a very important part of sexual life, and that's why we are talking about it today on Sex Drive. So, here are some tips if you want to role play, okay? You want to gather as many accessories as you can for your fantasy because, look, the more props you have, the easier it's going to be for you to get into character. And of course, you may not have some very specific props such as, let's say a paddle or handcuffs if you want to have the whole dominatrix slave fantasy going on. But you can use a spatula. Yes, a spatula for spanking. You can use a scarf for restraining or a man's tie for blindfolding. And of course, you have to get dressed up. You got to wear black leather, latex, or satin clothing. And then don't forget the black boots. But most of all, use your imagination and improvise to make your role-playing fantasy character come alive. Now, even more important than accessories is your attitude. So, to help you get into the act, think about your body language. So if you're going to be a dom, what should you do? How should you stand? Well, you want to have your shoulders back, your legs apart, head up, hands on your hips, and speak with an authoritative tone as you tell your lover exactly how you want them to satisfy you. Now, if they don't comply exactly the way you want, and they won't, you will give them a good spanking. So, what are the most common fantasies for men and women? Men are very visual. We've all heard that. But did you know that a lot of men do like to be punished? Especially men with powerful jobs, rich men, successful men. Yeah, they like to, get spanked. They even like a little humiliation in the bedroom, only in the bedroom. And of course, the number one sex fantasy that pretty much every red-blooded man has is a threesome with 2 women. So what are the top female fantasies? Did you know? It's being paid for sex, and having sex in public places, and having sex with another woman. Yes, guys, women like that too. Although some women prefer having sex with 2 men. And my favorite is being seduced by a total stranger. It's actually a great fantasy. This is what you do. You go to a public place with your lover, and you pretend that you've never met before. And then you flirt, and you seduce each other. You know, one of you can stand at one end of the bar and the other one at the other end. And you sort of wave, and you blow kisses, and then you start having erotic conversations. And the intention here is to have the kind of wild, uninhibited, dirty sex with a one-night stand that you know you will never see again. Another favorite of mine is the phone sex operator who talks really nasty. Turn out the lights, and you will find that the darkness loosens your tongue. Then tell your lover exactly what you are doing to yourself in graphic detail as you are pleasuring yourself. It's a very hot fantasy, and it's a great way to incorporate erotic talk into your lovemaking. Okay, so who hasn't fantasized about being a pornographer? You can either have a third person filming you and your lover, or you can set the camera on a chair so that you can see yourselves in the frame. Then watch the playback just for added kicks. But make sure that you keep the tape, in a safe place, because you don't want it all over the internet. Or maybe you do. Yeah, maybe you do. Anyway, the goal here is for the 2 of you to experience as many role-playing characters as you can through fantasy, and have as much fun doing it as you can. Because when couples role-play together and they act out each other's fantasies, I promise you they gain a better understanding of what the other one wants, needs, and desires. And couples can improve their intimate communication. They can expand their sexual horizons, which is why I created an amazing course on sex fantasies at Loveology University. But tonight we are going to talk about your fantasies. I want you to call me and tell me what your fantasies are. Tell me the ones that you've acted out. Tell me the ones that you need help turning into reality. Give me a call at 1-877-711-5611, or send me an email to questions@wetalksex.com. I'm Dr. Ava, and you are listening to Sex Drive, where we will not make you feel bad no matter what you've done, because sex is good. Sex is one of the greatest gifts to the human race, and sharing yourself with someone worthy is a precious gift. So let's celebrate good, healthy sex tonight right here on Sex Drive. The phone lines are open now, so give us a call. I am waiting for you. This is Dr. Ava Cadell, and I will support you, whether you are gay or straight, black or brown, white, or whatever your sexual appetites are, as long as it's between consenting adults and it is legal. So nothing you can say is off limits. This show is for you. This show is to help empower you, educate you, entertain you, inspire you, and maybe even shock you just a little. I'm Dr. Ava Cadell, your host on Sex Drive. Give me a call at 1-877-711-5611. We are talking about sex fantasies tonight, but we're also talking about anything that you want to talk about, because nothing is off limits. If you need help with your relationship problem, I have answers for you. If you're single and you're looking for love, I can help you find it. Just tell me what you're looking for. If you have a sexual dysfunction, tell me what it is. Let me give you some options, some advice. I am a clinical sexologist. I have 2 doctorates, and I love my job. So give me a call right now at 1-877-711-5611. 877-711-5611. And we will be right back.
Are you in a juicy state of mind?
Juicy.
Then it's time for the ride of your life. It's Sex Drive with Dr. Ava Cadell.
Welcome back to Sex Drive, where we talk sex, and I'm Dr. Ava, and I do want to empower you in the bedroom. Tonight we are talking about sex fantasies, sharing them, keeping them, using them to have the best sex of your life. Our phone lines are open, and we have Chris on line 3 who has a question about role-playing. Hi, Chris. This is Dr. Ava. What's your question?
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well.
Just wanted to ask about, in regards to role-playing, what kind of role-playing could, say, rev up a person's sex drive, say if one is losing their sex drive after age 40 or so?
Now if one is losing their sex drive and the other isn't, or are you both sort of having diminished sex drive problems?
Oh, no, it's one and the same. It applies to me.
Oh, okay. So your sex drive is a little bit low, but your partner's is not?
Correct.
Okay. Well, then I think your partner should probably be the dominant one. All right?
Okay.
So I think that maybe you should be either, okay, you're going to have a choice. You can either be a patient or you can be a male convict. Which one do you like the best?
The patient.
Really? I thought you were going to go for the male convict. Okay, then if you're the patient, then she is what? She is the nurse.
There we go.
Yeah, she's going to take charge by placing your body in any position that she wants in order to examine it.
Oh, fascinating, yes.
Yeah, she might put gloves on just to make sure, you know. And she's going to give you just a full body exam, and you are not going to complain because you are a patient. But she wants to get, you know, she needs some accessories. Tell her to dress in like white, you know, thigh highs and garters and a tight white button-down top, and tell her to get some probing examination tools, like some adult toys. Am I going too far for you here?
Oh, no, ma'am. It's wonderful advice so far.
But you know what we're doing? We're actually playing. We're having fun as adults, and she is going to discover all of your erogenous zones, many of which maybe haven't been stimulated in a while. So as the patient, you need to tell her where you want her to examine you. So, for example, if one of your erogenous zones is, where should we say? Oh, your ears.
Okay.
Your feet, inside your thighs, your nipples, wherever they are, you just tell her that you want her to examine these areas very, very well. And tell her to use her fingers, her tongue, her mouth, her hair, so that you can sort of change power a little bit. You may be a patient, but I don't want you to be a silent patient. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so go be a patient and tell your partner to put on her best nursing outfit.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Dr. Ava, I'll get right on it. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
Thank you, Chris, for calling, and have fun role-playing.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You are welcome. The phone lines are open, so do give us a call about your fantasies or about anything that you want to talk about. We are always open to talking about any of your issues, anything you want to share with us. And once again, the number is 1-877-711-5611. I am Dr. Ava, and I am going to take Ben's call on line 4 because he wants to explore something new with his mate.
Hi, Dr. Ava.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight?
Good, good. Thank you for calling. So tell me what your fantasy is.
Well, I'm kind of one of those people that you mentioned earlier where I've been in a pretty high-position job most of my life, and so it'd be nice for, you know, my partner to sort of take control. And my general question was just, how do I approach my partner about, you know, wanting this sort of change or wanting to explore these kinds of things and doing role-playing or fantasy? What would be your suggestion on how to approach it with a partner?
Okay, that's a great idea, Ben. I would definitely turn it into a fun game. For example, I would say, why don't we sit down and write down all of our fantasies? And you get a bunch of blank 3x5 cards. So she writes down 20 fantasies, you write down 20 fantasies, and then you throw them all in the middle. And then you put them into 3 piles. And pile 1 are fantasies that you guys want to turn into reality. Pile 2 are fantasies that you just want to keep as fantasies. And then pile 3 are fantasies that you can't really agree on. So we're going to sort of throw those out. But
Okay.
this is a great way for you to communicate. And then you pick her fantasy, and then she picks your fantasy. So if your fantasy is, maybe a biker and a slut, or a policeman and a convict, or if it's about being dominated, then just tell her, I want to be your sex slave. And I want you to... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I get the feeling she might be a little bit shy about this. So if you feel like your partner may not be so comfortable with these kinds of things, is there other things that I can do to, I don't know, make it less weird?
Well, it's going to be weird because it's different, but make it fun weird. As long as you have a sense of humor with role playing, you can't go wrong. If you take it too seriously, it's going to be a disaster. Okay? So you want to laugh as much as you can about this, and you want to say to her, okay, if I was your sex slave, what would you want me to do to you? So you're going to help her, and then if she says, I don't know, then say, well, okay, here's 3 options. Do you want me to lick you? Do you want me to give it to you from behind? Do you want me to just massage you? So give her options and use really graphic, naughty words to turn her on and get her juices flowing.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, Ben. I want you to call back and tell me what fantasy you guys, turned into reality.
Yeah,
so call me back next week.
What's that? I will.
Call me back next week.
It should be fun, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Ben. You are listening to Sex Drive, and we are talking about sex fantasies. We have a lot of people on the line right now, and I believe that Lisa on line 2 is concerned about being rough with her boyfriend. Is that right, Lisa?
Yeah, well, my boyfriend is really gentle in bed, which is okay, but it gets kind of boring and stale sometimes, and I'd like for him to be a little rougher, and we've actually tried before, but I think he's so afraid of hurting me that he holds back. And I'm just wondering, how can I convince him that he's not going to hurt me, that if we try this?
Okay, so you have to give him direction. You have to be very specific. So let's say he's caressing your boob very gently, and you want him to squeeze them, harder. So you say... Yeah. You say, hey, baby, that feels really nice when you're caressing them gently, but I would love it if you squeezed them really hard, and if you bit my nipple, oh, my God, that would drive me crazy. So, you always want to praise them. You never want to say, that feels horrible, or don't do that. You want to say something good, but then you want to say something even better.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well, it sounds good. I like the tossing around and stuff, carnal kind of thing.
Okay, so then do some role playing then. So yeah. Do you have a fantasy? Maybe tell him you want him to be your cowboy. You want him to you want him to ride you. You want him to ride you. You want him to, tell him to dress up with a cowboy hat and his boots and jeans and button-down shirt, and tell him that you want to watch him strip, and then you want him to really rope you in and ride you. So use fantasy to get what you want. Yeah, you got to be creative with this guy. What's wrong with him?
Yeah, that sounds great. Oh, I think that would be a lot of fun.
Okay. So you're going to be his cowgirl, and he's going to be your cowboy.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Ava.
You are welcome. This is Dr. Ava on Sex Drive, and we are talking about sex fantasies. We are talking about how to have better sex, how to empower yourself in the bedroom, give us a call right now at 1-877-711-5611 and ask us anything. When we come back, we are going to talk to Trinity, who wants to fulfill a fantasy. We are going to talk to Sarah. No, we are not going to talk to Sarah because she has gone. But come back, Sarah, because I want to talk to you. And I'm sorry that I kept you waiting for so long. We are talking about sex fantasies, about love, relationships, intimacy, erotic communication. We are talking about anything that you want to talk about, because here at Sex Drive, nothing is limited. We have no boundaries, and that's the way I like it. So we'll be right back. By the way, did you know that the more accepting you are of sex, the more free of it you will become, and the better it will be, and the bigger your orgasms will be? So on that note, let's talk to Trinity, who wants to fulfill her fantasy. Hi, Trinity.
Hi.
What's your question?
Well, my boyfriend is really, shy whenever it comes to fantasies, and we've been together for a long time, and he's still too shy to tell me any fantasy that he might have. How can I get it out of him? What can I do
to make him
you
want have
one?
to tell him what your fantasies are. And you have to give him a fantasy. For example, you could say to him, what's his name, Trinity?
Brian.
Brian. You should say, you know, Brian, one of my fantasies is to see you as a male stripper dance for me. I want to see you thrust your hips and straddle a chair and make eye contact with me while you are removing your clothes. That would really turn me on. I think I can hear him laughing in the background.
Yeah.
So if he's too shy, then you have to help him out. And if he says, no, I can't handle that fantasy, then say, okay, how about this fantasy? I want you to be a male police officer, and I want you to arrest me. I want you to cuff my hands behind my back, and I want you to, take me into a dark corner and press yourself against me and tell me what turns you on and take advantage of me. So you have to be the instigator here. How do you feel about that, Trinity?
I can definitely do that.
Can you do that? Okay,
yeah.
Good. Then train him. Turn him into the kind of lover that you want. Tonight I've got a lot of assertive women on the line. I love this. Come on, guys. We love confident men. We love men who also take control. So, go try either the erotic dancer or the policeman or any fantasy that you have. Do you want to share a fantasy with us right now? What is your biggest fantasy?
My biggest fantasy is I'm the dominator, so I want to be dominated, instead of me being the dominatrix. I want him to come out of his shell and, show me what he's got.
Okay. So what would a good fantasy be where he could dominate you? I guess the police officer would work, right?
Yeah.
Or he could be a firefighter rescuing you from a burning house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to use your imagination.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, may all your fantasies come true. And thank you for calling.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's talk to John right now. Hi, John. This is Dr. Ava. What is your fantasy?
Hi, Dr. Ava. I love your show.
Thank you.
I have speaking of bondage and whatnot, I have a kind of a fantasy here where I like to get tied up. The thing about it is my girlfriend feels like she's going a little too far sometimes when she ties me up and blindfolds me, and I begin to scream, and she doesn't know whether it's screaming of excitement or maybe I'm really in pain. So how do we sort of differentiate that, or how does she understand that, that maybe we're not crossing the line?
That's a great question. I'm so happy that you asked that question, because boundaries are really important. And when you're in the heat of passion, sometimes no means yes. So what I recommend is safe words, and these are words that you would not normally say during sex. My Yeah. My favorite safe words are like the traffic lights: red for stop, green for go, and orange for maybe. So as soon as, yeah, it works. I promise you, it's awesome. I mean, as long as she doesn't gag you and you can't speak, in which case, have a red handkerchief next to you and wave it.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll when I'm ready.
There you go. Thank you so much for calling, John. That was an awesome question.
You are listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you are listening to Sex Drive, and we are talking today about fantasies, but we can talk about anything that you want to talk about. So let's take a call from Philip. Philip on line 4.
Hi, Dr. Ava.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. Love your show.
Thank you.
Myself, I love doing the whole role-playing thing, expressing the fantasies. But my life partner, he just doesn't get it. And I just want to know how to make him get that.
Well, you can't force someone to do something that they don't like, but you can tell them how important it is to you. And if they really care about you, then they're going to get involved a little bit. So the word fantasies and role-playing can be really scary if you just sort of throw it in there. But you can start out really gently. For example, what is a fantasy that you would like to have with your partner? And it doesn't have to be a fantasy that you have to act out. It can be a fantasy that you can just talk about during lovemaking. What do you think is a fantasy that would be acceptable to her?
Well, I would have to say, kind of like what your last caller described, just where the passion is, it's like that. But he just doesn't. I guess he just kind of wants to go in and get it over with, and it gets kind of boring, after a while. But I don't know. I guess like the whole tying up. I just want to experience a little bit of everything.
Well, then you need to say, tonight let's play. And the great way to do that is, do you guys have date night where, like every Friday night, you go out on a date, or you have you have sex on a specific night of the week?
At times. At
times. Well, okay.
It's more when we can find the time.
Okay, so this is your homework, or love work as I like to call it. I want you to start making a ritual of having a fantasy date once a week. And pick a night, like Saturday night, and then take turns initiating what that date is going to be. So you can start out with next Saturday and say, okay, this week we're going to do this. We're going to go to a club and dance, and then we're going to go home and, take a shower together and have sex in the shower, whatever your fantasy is. And then the next week, it's your partner's turn to come up with a fantasy. And it doesn't have to be a wild fantasy. It might be something really mundane, but you got to go with it. And then the next week, you can get a bit more risque. So what you're doing is you're sort of planting the seed. And this is a great way to bring it in without scaring your partner into thinking that you're some kind of crazy pervert, which we know you are, but that's okay.
hey, what guy isn't, right?
Exactly. That's what I love about men. They're so honest. But yeah, try that. Try the fantasy dating night ritual and exchanging, the power of who initiates what, and go that way and really explore all of your fantasies together, because it will make your relationship better.
All right.
Okay, thank you for calling, Philip.
Thank you.
You are listening to Sex Drive, and this is Dr. Ava Cadell with answers to your fabulous questions. We have Deborah on line 2. Hi, Deborah. How are you tonight?
How are you doing, Dr. Ava?
Great. What is your question?
I wanted to find out why is it that some people fantasize about being punished during sex? Is that even safe or healthy for a relationship, do you feel?
Well, that's a great question. The number one reason why people fantasize about being punished during sex is because they were punished when they were young. They were either spanked or humiliated or shouted at. There was some kind of punishment. And what happened was they correlated that punishment with love and attention. So as they got older, they correlated it with sex. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing or an unhealthy thing. I think the more variety you have in sex, the better. But you got to have boundaries, and you got to discuss what your boundaries are with your lover. I mean, there are some girls I know who like to be slapped across the face just as they're reaching an orgasm. And if that turns them on, hey, that's awesome. But
wow,
if
that's amazing.
yeah, there's nothing good or bad as long as there's two consenting adults who are doing something that's, you know, really feeling good. But if it makes you feel bad afterwards, then you want to think about it, maybe go and seek some professional help and analyze it a little bit. But that was a great question, Deborah. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. Okay, great.
And there's lots of awesome fantasies that you can do. You know, you can do the schoolgirl and the teacher fantasy, where the teacher punishes the little schoolgirl because she didn't do her homework. And ladies, you can dress up as a schoolgirl with the short skirt and the socks and no panties. So just go out there, live out your fantasies, share them with somebody who is worthy of it, and just have the best sex of your life, because you know what? You deserve it. Yes, you do. We will be right back.
Get up! Get on up!
Welcome back to Sex Drive. This is Dr. Ava, and we are just waiting for our celebrity guest, Chef Stefan Richter, to call us, because he's going to talk to us about aphrodisiacs. He's going to talk to us about sex and food and fantasies. But before he calls, I did get an email from somebody who had a question about aphrodisiacs, and he wanted to know if there were any that would help him boost his sex drive. And yes, we do have some aphrodisiacs. Apart from pumpkin pie, believe it or not, pumpkin pie can actually get the blood flowing to the male genitals 40% faster than any other food. And we'll see if Chef Stefan agrees with me on that. But there are also these amazing herbal supplements that intensify sexual desire for men, and my favorite is called Jaxi strips, because these are quick dissolving strips that you put on your tongue. Yes, you put them on your tongue, gentlemen, and they have yohimbe and longjack and snap ginger, which are all herbs. They're aphrodisiac herbs, and they get you in the mood very quickly. So if you're feeling exhausted after work, you're all stressed out, then put one of these Jaxi strips on your tongue before you seduce your lover. Where can you get them? You can get them right now at 1-800-610-4282. Actually, it's 1-800-610-4AVA, A-V-A. And guess what? You will get a free gift if you call right now. So you should definitely call. And, they look like those, you know, those freshen things that you put on your tongue. What are those called? You know, the things that give you fresh breath. They look just like that, but they're an amazing aphrodisiac. So I am still waiting for my chef, my celebrity chef. Where are you? I want to tell you, when I had my own radio show on KLSX, I was talking about fantasies one day, and one of my friends, actor Dan Haggerty, you might remember him as the Bear Man, he called in, and he told me that his fantasy, he was a Catholic boy, and his fantasy was to always have sex with a nun. And he had told his wife this fantasy. So on his birthday, unbeknownst to him, his wife went out and got a nun's outfit. And he was still in bed, waking up, you know, late on his birthday. And she comes into the bedroom with a tray with breakfast, and she's completely dressed as a nun. And she says, "Happy birthday, baby. Let's have sex." And he freaked out. He could not get it up. So some fantasies are actually, they're better as fantasies. Yes, they are. They don't all have to be turned into reality, and that was one. So poor Dan Haggerty never really got over that. Another fantasy that can be better than the reality, but not always, is a threesome. So we all know that you guys, you know, you want to have two girls, and I understand why. Not only do you want to know that you can satisfy two girls at the same time, but you want to watch them go down on each other. You want to see two beautiful women, you know, really having sex together, boobs touching and pussies touching and licking and kissing, and then they're all over you. And I understand that. But, you know, I have had more clients come to my office, in my private practice, after having a threesome and having issues, having relationship issues, that first I recommend that you just talk about it while you're having sex. Describe the other girl, what she's doing to you, what she's doing to your partner, and see how that turns out before you turn it into a reality. You know what? I think this last fantasy got our guest on the line. So I am very happy to introduce to you my celebrity chef guest, Stefan Richter. Welcome, Stefan. I'm so glad you made it.
Hey, I was waiting on the line. You guys forgot about me. How about that?
Oh, my God. They forgot about you. We are going to have to spank those naughty producers. But let me tell the callers a little bit about you.
Is she cute at least?
I beg your pardon?
Is the producer cute? Did I spank her?
Oh, well, it's a male, but he's probably... Yeah, he's cute.
You spank her, you spank him, and I spank her. How about that?
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, Stefan, you were on Bravo's hit show Top Chef. You have a clothing line called Cocky Chef Clothing, which I love that name. And you have a book coming out called Dirty Dishes, Stefan's life story, a few recipes, and a bunch of dirty dishes and a lot of other schmutz. Wow, that is a long, long title. Tell me about that, sweetie. What's the schmutz?
Or the clothing. The book or the clothing?
Tell me about the book.
The book is, it's all my stuff when I grew up, and, you know, a little bit of cooking, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of dating, a little bit of cooking, you know, upbringing, you know, when I got laid the first time, so.
Oh, okay. Did you get laid in the kitchen by any chance?
No, it was my nanny. She was 19, I was 13, so.
Fabulous. I love that. I think that is so good when an older woman seduces a younger man, although 13 is pretty young. So would you say that it affected you? Do you still like older women, or how did that affect you?
So actually, it didn't affect me at all. I truly enjoyed my moment there. Because you know what, you can't take a 13-year-old. It's not that big of a deal. Where I grew up in Europe, it was not that big of a deal. I was a happy guy, got over with it. So it was very easy for me to, you know, afterwards move on and, you know, be happy about it. It didn't hurt me at all.
Good. So now, as a chef, tell me, what's the sexiest thing you've ever done with food and sex? Or the wildest thing?
Cook. That's the key. You got to cook it together with the person you're with. That's the sexiest thing you can do with food. You know, all the schmearing and schmuttering, that doesn't really work for me.
No, you don't like to lick it off your partner?
No, I've done that too, but I have a date here, Michelle. I'm sitting next to Michelle. Say hi to Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. I can hear her giggling, yes.
I've got a date here, so her name is Michelle. Michelle, say hi.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. So tell me about Stefan. What's he done to you that's really sexy and with food?
Well, actually tonight he's cooking dinner and we're having lobster.
That's an aphrodisiac. Anything from the ocean is an aphrodisiac, so that's good.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. We're going to do that after the interview.
Okay, don't forget to feed each other. I think feeding each other is so sexy. So what are the most erotic foods in your opinion, Stefan?
I think, you know what, when you don't know somebody or you date somebody and you start cooking together, you do stuff together, I think that's the key, you know, you get to know somebody. What's the point to cook 5-6 courses and you're always stressed in the kitchen? You do one nice little dish, a little risotto or lobster, something small, and you cook together and you have wine together, and, you know, that's how it works.
Yeah, eating really is a basic instinct, just like sex, and I think they go hand in hand. I think, somebody that's passionate about food is usually a great lover. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic.
Yes.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm absolutely with you that, food is very important. And, if you have a good time with your partner, you cook something together, it's always sensual. Cooking is always sexy and sensual, I think. So
I agree. Do you have a website that you'd like to give out to our callers so they can find out more about you and your upcoming book?
I do. It's SantaMonicaChef.com, and if that's too difficult for people, I have Stefan's Catering as well.
Stefan's
go
Catering.
to the same website. It's StefansCatering.com or SantaMonicaChef.com. You can
Awesome.
check out my stuff, and I'm Twittering, and I'm doing all the Facebooking stuff and whatever it takes to be in these days, so I'm trying.
Well, you're not trying, you're doing. You're doing very well, and I am a lover of food, and I can hardly wait to see your book. When does it come out?
The book is probably coming out in June or July. I'm working on it, and you know what? If you ever want to come for dinner, just call me.
Okay, what a nice invitation. Thank you. I would like to thank my guests, Stefan Richter, my engineers, Ray, Ron, and Shane, my producers, Rob, Tim Sr. and Tim Jr. for bringing you Sex Drive. I'm Dr. Ava Cadell, and I'll be back next week at the same time, at the same place, for more candid sex talk at WeTalkSex.com. So until then, let's celebrate good, healthy sex with an S&L sandwich, and that's a generous helping of sex between two slices of love.